You remember that? On the sideline, just, yeah, baby, get her, you get her. Who celebrates like that for a flagrant foul on another player if they don't dislike that player?
Excuse me, RG3. Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark? How do you know this? I'm a psychologist and I can't read nobody's mind. I tell people all the time, I'm not a psychic. I'm a psychologist.
Difference.
I can't read your mind. I can analyze what comes out of it, but I can't read it. RG3 became a psychic in front of his snow bunny. Black men who date and marry white women wish they were white themselves. Let's just keep it a buck. In order to be a successful black entertainer, that includes sports, you have to assume a political naivete in the face of obvious injustice. Think about that, Lou. You sitting on a panel on TV, and the police just unalive somebody. RG3 just disrespected your little sister Angel Reese with his slave master, handler, overseer, slave driver in the back, cheering him on with the whip. Loon, she had a whip, whipping him, tear it down.
And if you ain't talking no dude, then I ain't interested. Look, they say the sky's the limit, I'm going farther than that. She keep blowing up my phone, so I called her mama, come get your daughter back. They just want a little bit of fame, get them boys whack. What, baby? Little one eye, bust your brain, but get a hard hat. They say the sky's the limit, I'm going farther. They can try to, but can't kill me. I'm immortal. I just bought a nigga life, as and did a side, come with that order. You lazy, the reason you broke, you don't know how to hustle. Won't try me, they know I'm stressed, son. Look, red rum, red dot. Hit the block when 12 come. Look, know I'm thugging to the fullest, asking for a bullet, cause he never felt one. Stick him to the wall, this a nail gun. Riding with my dogs, trying to nail something. Yeah. I said on you when he got your partner too.
Yo, welcome to It's Up There Podcast. I am your active and attractive host for another episode of the fastest growing podcast in the market right now. I do want to salute to each and every person that has clicked this video. We have one of my favorite people in the world back on this Up There podcast. We are in Hyperion season 2. And we have my friend, my partner, Dr. Umar Johnson. How are you, my brother?
Peace and Pan-Africanism. Glad to be back in Nashville on It's Up There podcast. Good to see you, my brother.
Man, I got a lot of love for you. And, you know, I always position that first, right? Because no matter, our conversations is to learn. It's yes, for people to actually grab something from it. And a lot of the people enjoy it. I do see some of your fan base, which you have a rather large fan base. Some of them don't understand our dynamic. They don't understand that sometimes I give you room to clarify position.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And I try to push a little more for the people.
Which is necessary.
Exactly. And so I just want to set that standard before we even move forward, that it's a lot of respect in this room between us. And what we do here is for our people to actually get something from conversations rather than just sit down and have this powwow and no one actually deposits anything or withdraws anything. So I want to set that standard first. How have you been, my brother?
I've been well, my brother. I've been well since the last time we connected. What has been going on? Well, with regard to Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey, brother, we down to the doors and the floors. That's it. Once we get that done, we'll be applying for our certificate of occupancy. By the doors, what I mean by that is when we took over the building, we got everything rekeyed, but I didn't get the classrooms rekeyed.
Okay.
So I'm working with a black locksmith. He got to rekey every class. You know, give me 3 copies, master key, custodian key. I'm waiting on him now. Okay. So once he gives me an estimate of what this is going to cost, the doors. The other thing is the floors. So we had there's 16 rooms in the school. There's more than 16, but we have 16 that we got to either tile or carpet.
Okay.
Because we had 12 of them that had rugs in them. We had to take them out because, you know, they was old and funky while the building sat, right? So it's concrete. You got to cover that up. So we got about 12 that got to be covered. The other 4, I want them to match the other rooms. So it's going to be 16. We did get 2 estimates from 2 commercial companies. Pretty expensive. You know what I mean? They want about 60 G's to do them 16 floors. And I'm like, ouch. So I'm trying to see if I can work with some of my brothers. And as you know, we haven't had the best of luck with our brothers, but miraculously, coincidentally, one of the brothers out of Chester, PA, contractor, he reached out. He does business in Delaware. He said, let me come see the floors. I might be able to beat the price. So when I get back to Philly, hopefully, if he can beat that price, we on. Because to be honest with you, Loon, we've been done for about a year. When we painted the school last year, the only thing that needed to be done was the floors.
Okay.
But the paint wasn't perfect. So in me trying to get the paint job done perfect, we wasted a whole year. You follow what I'm saying? So now I'm like, forget it.
Right.
Let's get everything done. And if I need to go back and touch up on the paint, we do it later. But I can't keep letting years go by because as you know, when you do this kind of work, time fly.
Yeah.
You notice that. Interview, next thing you know, 6 months.
What?
Yeah. I would say the one downside of speaking and traveling and interviewing, your life speeds up 24.
It's all a blur.
Yeah, the life, I'm like, the year's over.
Yes.
So, I learned that you got to keep your foot on the gas because if you don't, another 5 years will go by, we still not open. You feel me?
Right.
So we've been done except floors, doors, and paint for a year.
Wow.
So technically, this should have got done last year, but I'm not going to complain. All things in divine timing.
Facts. Do you feel as though you still have the same desire? Is the fire still burning for
the fire
FDMG?
still burn? Sometimes the fire go dim, right? You get discouraged,
right?
But something always happens to bring you back. I'm very heavy into my spirituality, so I do a lot of solitude. In fact, when people ask me about romantic relationships, a big reason why I'm not in one is, and our sisters are good people, right? But when you are on a political mission that has a spiritual foundation, sometimes women can't adjust their lifestyle to yours.
Right.
And so when you come off the road and you need a couple days to just get back in sync with yourself, they want you to be wrapped up into them.
Yes.
I can't do that right now. I got to get myself right again.
Yes.
And so what I'm learning on the romantic side, that when you date a sister, when you have a spiritual calling on my life, because although my work is political, it's spiritually based. You got to make sure you have a woman who can accommodate your mission. Because a lot of women want to take you from your mission and put all of your attention on her. And don't get me wrong, you have needs and you have a right to those needs. But at the same time, you got to temper some of that because of who you with.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Yes. I'm not the rapper. I'm not the actor. I'm not the comedian. I'm not the dancer. I'm not the entertainer. I'm an activist. You're forgetting that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so sometimes women can drain you even more.
Exactly. And it becomes more of a detriment to the cause than an addition to the
And that's why the Honorable Marcus Garvey said, as much as I loved my wife, being married was a detriment to my work.
Exactly.
Because you got to constantly appease the queen.
Yes.
And understanding she got needs. But this is about the race.
Yes.
This is about the people.
Yes.
And if I got to constantly keep debating with you, pleading with you, explaining to you, then you clearly don't respect my mission.
Right.
And as I listen to a lot of, spiritual work and read a lot of spiritual work, they talk about how you got to make sure you equally yoked because that partner, that relationship, even though she don't mean no harm, but that relationship will drain you of your purpose.
Right.
And that's why a lot of great men, they went at it alone.
Like me. And see, right now, me and you, speaking of, is like, it gets harder. And I'm going to tell you something. I greatly undervalued the ability to find a partner on this level. Before I got to this level, I would have assured you that, what easy peasy, beautiful cover girls, this shit. Like, man, we getting money, we successful, we reading, we up early, we taking care of the children, it's business being took care of. But as you get further and further, you say, oh, this is deeper than just a bed mate. It's a soulmate. It's deeper than that. And so, man, I definitely understand that. Let me ask you this. How long have you been on the road chasing this thing?
Woo! I'm going to say I've always been into activism since elementary school. Black Student Union president. graduated Garvey movement, UNIA Philly. But the activism been there throughout life. But if you say on the national and international level, that would be since 2010. That would be with the Chicago interview, September 18th, 2010, and the Harlem lecture, October 30th, 2010. And about 48 hours after the Harlem lecture, bro, my phone started ringing and it ain't stopped in 15 years.
I remember that.
Yeah.
What's up, Looniverse? It's your boy Big Loon. And the G5 just rolled in and we're clear for takeoff. You're locked into season 2 of It's Up There Podcast, the most prolific conversation engine in the culture. But here's the part of that blows my mind. About 60% of the people who watch every single week still have not subscribed. And it's a victim of habit. Let's fix that right now. Hit like, smash subscribe, ring the bell, and share this live to let them know that It's Up There Podcast is back outside. And someone out there needs to know how to get in first class and have peak perspective. But you know, new season means new everything. Fresh guests, brand new debates, exclusive merch, dedicated call-in line, and conversation so elevated, you better buckle that seatbelt up. Now, if you really want to get out of the economy and into the cockpit, then the gate just changed. We're boarding on patreon.com. It's Up There Podcast. Inside that paywall, what do? You get live shows every week. We debate in real time. We bring up people with different opinions in real time and have these tough conversations. We have these prolific, potent conversations every single week. I also give voicemail access for you to leave a voicemail and we'll answer it on air anytime that we're doing a solo podcast. But here's the good part. Everyone on patreon.com gets a chance to know who our upcoming guests are. We do what's called a getting prepared for the guest segment, in which we would take ideas and conversations with the community and kind of hash out some of the angles or points that we want to make in some of the interviews. And I think that's a great addition for people who want to just be closer than the comment section. Now, you get behind the scenes, you get strategy sessions, you get discounts. This is the tightest community in the game. We literally have Call of Duty tournaments. We have Rainbow Six tournaments, Madden tournaments, college tournaments. Like, we have so much going on in the community. We're now centralizing everyone, and I need to see you head over to patreon.com. It's Up There Podcast. Pick a tier, grab a seat, join the flight crew, because this is who's steering the culture. And remember, season 2 is already in the sky. So like, subscribe, share, pull up the Patreon, drop a voicemail, and just remember, we don't just aim high. We live up there. It's Up There Podcast. Enjoy the show. Let's get it.
What, for people who don't know, again, this grind and, you know, what you've been doing, what receipts does that leave on a man's body, right? Just moving that long, doing this mission, on this goal. And you got to constantly taking information to be updated because you are a voice to our people.
Yes.
What receipts does that leave on a man's body?
I would say the biggest cost is in the spiritual weight you got to carry. The biggest cost is in the lack of time you have to invest in the relationships you have. Not romantic, but just family.
Yes.
Social, you know, community.
Yes.
You're not there the way you want to be there.
Right.
You know, and again, I look at some of our great ancestors. Of course, Brother Malcolm, we just celebrated his 100th on Monday. You know, how many days ago? 4 days ago, Malcolm turned 100, May 19th, 1925. Okay. And then next month, God willing, I'll be going to the Democratic Republic of the Congo for the first time to celebrate the 100th birthday of Patrice Lumumba, who was the first democratically elected prime minister of Congo. And as you know, President Dwight D. Eisenhower of the U.S. government ordered his assassination, and they cut his body up into little teeny pieces like a cake, bro, and dissolved him in acid. The only thing that remained was a tooth that his family just got back after more than 50 years.
What?
Yes, sir.
When was this?
This was, he was assassinated January 17th, 1961.
Whoa.
And it took out Malcolm in fact, Malcolm often spoke of Lumumba, and I believe Malcolm's black glasses, the what we want to call them, the patented Malcolm X glasses, those were actually Patrice Lumumba glasses. Not that pair. Right. But Malcolm wore the same glasses. Yes. And I think he got it from him. I've never heard him say that. Right. But he wore the same glasses as Lumumba.
That's like a nod.
And he kind of was the Patrice Lumumba of Black America.
Right. We're going to get into some of the iHeart stuff too, because they reached to Candace, and for some reason, we'll get to that in a second. But so on your journey, you basically have to bury your relationships to keep the fire burning for the mission.
I wouldn't say bury, but I would say you are not able to, I guess the best language to use is invest in them the way that you want. So they're still there.
Right.
And when you have your free time, that's when you double down on that time. Right. But the bottom line is, when you do this kind of a work, when you're serving the people, your universe, your satellites, they have to also appreciate your mission. Otherwise, you become a hindrance to them. In other words, if you don't appreciate the mission, then it's best that we really don't seek to keep this relationship going as strong as it is, because you're going to see me as nothing more than a hindrance. Same thing romantically, because you don't appreciate what I'm doing.
Yes.
See, if a woman appreciates what you're doing, she can wait.
But outside of you, right? So she can appreciate what I do when it pertains to her. You have to now appreciate what I do when it pertains to the mission.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I know he's serving my people.
Yes.
So however long it takes, I'll be here. I'll give you someone who I thought embodied this perfectly. And all the wives were great. The Anna Douglas, the Amy Garveys, the Betty Shabazz, the Coretta Scotts. But you know who I felt really embodied the activist leader wife? Winnie Mandela. When Nelson met Winnie, rest in paradise to both of them, when he tried to explain to her, she like, already got this. I know what this is about.
I'm with you.
I was ready for this.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Because she was about it too.
Yes.
And when he got locked up, she kept the movement going.
Right.
Most activists, you get locked up,
mission dies with you.
Oh, she ain't, you feel me?
Yes.
She was only there because you was popular.
Right.
Which has been a big problem I've run into.
I want to ask you that. How do you shift through the women?
You can tell. You can tell if the women are there for the mission.
How?
Energy. You could just tell the way they speak, the way they talk about your work. The best way to find out is to listen to the jokes. The things they say inadvertently. Oh, you off running to serve the people again. You know, anything sarcastic, that lets me know you don't value what I do.
Yeah.
And that's not good, because if you and I ever got together, if we produce the child out of it, if I go to jail, if my life is taken prematurely, God forbid, you will not raise my baby in this. And when you look at most children of most of our leaders, not all of them, because you got some of Malcolm's daughters pushing, you got some of King's children, right?
Right.
But overall, if you look at the children of the revolutionaries, most of them did not stay with their father's work. Do you feel me? Yes. Great. And some of that is due to the fact that the mothers became disenchanted over the fact that they saw how their husbands gave their life to the people, and the people did nothing for their family after they died. Ooh. Think about that. Think about that.
That hurt though.
Think about that.
That's
Malcolm
hurtful.
died, right? Betty struggled. You see? Now, King's children may have had it a little better because you had the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. I'm sure they looked out Andrew Young and others, right? Yeah. So Coretta probably had a little bit more, but it was still hard on them because they saw firsthand, my husband gave his life.
Goodness.
And y'all ain't even reciprocate at all to his children.
Do you worry about that?
Worry? I'm going to say no.
Is it a
And I'm going to tell you why. Because it's a given. You done already seen it. Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. So you done already seen it. And that's why I tell people, and as I observe activists, I'm always telling them, Brother Loon, I'm like, listen, everybody who come to me talking about they want to do some work for the community, I got to study their political character, not their personal. Yeah. I'll never know that.
Yeah.
Political. And if I see you more in this for attention, if I see you more in this about the hustle, if I see you more in this about anything that's serving the people, I know you're not genuine.
Right.
Because in this is sacrifice.
Exactly.
You do not benefit
of the
from
highest
it.
extent.
Of the highest extent. The only love, but it is the greatest love.
Yes.
Is the love of the people.
Right.
There's nothing like going through the airport and 30 Africans run up to you and the white people looking like, who the is he?
Right.
They looking like, is he?
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I love, right. And I love, cause you know, they think they got to know everything. They come over.
Who are you?
I feel like I should know you.
Right.
Listen to that though. I feel, why do you feel you need to know me?
Right.
And then I say, I'm just a psychologist. Then they still like, okay, but first of all, they shocked because they thought you was going to say rapper or athlete.
Exactly.
But even when you say psychologist, they're like, well, psychologist.
Doesn't make sense. That reaction, psychologist.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just kind of leave it like that because you never know who you dealing with.
Right.
Like the stewardess will ask you, I don't like to give them too much unless they black.
Right.
Because you might put some shit in my drink. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And,
So
and I'm glad you militant in that way.
Yeah, you got to keep your head on the swivel.
What I've always appreciated about you, whether you were getting millions of views or not, you've always understood the seriousness of your banter, of your rhetoric, of what your position is, of your mission. And I think that's very important to see a black man militant. I was telling him earlier before you got here, I said, Umar is probably one of the only ones. And there's a lot of strong black men in the space. But you will not fold.
No.
And bro, trust me, us other black men, we say, if they let Umar on CNN, if they let him on MA, he's not folding.
Oh, no, sir.
So don't send the invite.
And that's why they ain't going to send me. You'll never see me on there. Now, I just got an invitation to be on Piers Morgan.
We about to talk about him in just a second.
You know, and I didn't accept it because I noticed with some of them, even though he's really popular and he got millions, don't bring me on there for no nonsense. Yes. And what I noticed, and I went through this a little bit with Fox Soul. No disrespect to Fox Soul because they just reached back out to me. I'm going to give them another chance. But you don't take somebody with these kind of credentials and this type of following and this seriousness behind his work and put him on a panel with goofballs.
At all.
And you see? At all. That's what Piers Morgan, I got an invite for a white podcast. I'm not going to mention his name. He's very popular. Mm-hmm. He wanted me to debate Jesse Lee Peterson, right? Now, me and Jesse Lee Peterson, are you familiar with him?
Yeah, I know Jesse.
We've debated before. I was on his show before. He was on Fox Soul before.
Okay.
He and I have shared airways maybe 3 times, right?
Okay.
I turned down the interview, right? Because I said, I am not going to go on this show. And this was live in studio. And I think he's in Florida too. I am not going to go on this show and debate another black man, even though he is for the entertainment of white people.
Right.
See, when he first reached out, Loon, I'm thinking we're going to have a conversation like us. We're going to go around the world and talk. No, I want you to debate Jesse Lee Peterson. You already know what he stands for.
Right.
You already know what I stand for. So this cannot be serious. Yeah. You want us to fight each other for the entertainment of Caucasians. I'm not doing that.
And I appreciate you for saying that. Matter of fact, let's get to Piers. So Piers Morgan has been in the news or in black culture going viral right now, in particular for he was on a panel. Let me get the names right. I think it was, I want to make sure I have the young lady's names. I mean, I don't have the names. Nonetheless, it was Piers Morgan, Mark Lamont Hill, Myron Gaines from Fresh Fit.
Somebody sent me a clip.
Right. And so what we had is Piers Morgan was in a scenario where he asked for this young lady. He invited her to say a racial slur.
Mm-hmm. People stand up for themselves. We're labeled racist. And by the way, you call people racist when you want them to stop talking about things.
No, I called you a racist because you admitted you were racist. Hang on. I called just to be clear. I called you a racist because you openly, proudly admitted you're a racist. So it wasn't a question of exposing you or pointing my finger or trying to get this out of you. You proudly sat there, bold as brass, and said, "Yeah, I use the N-word all the time against black people. I'm a racist and I'm proud of it." That's what you did.
Racism is just having a preference. I prefer not to live around black people. I prefer not to live in a country where white people in our country are disproportionately attacked by black people. Where in my country, you can have an Austin Metcalf where he asks a guy to leave and he gets stabbed in the heart. I prefer that. That's a preference. Now, what a real racist is, in my opinion, is seeing someone as less human. I'm a Christian. I believe everyone's created in God's image. So I don't see anyone as less human. But that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to have a preference and say, I don't like what happens to be coming out of this community or that community. How is that a bad thing? How is that not just a preference?
Because you've literally made black people sound lesser humans. You don't want to live around them. You want to use the N word in relation to them, a word that you know causes that community unbelievable offense.
Is that my fault? Is that my fault? If they have bad behavior, if they want to act in a certain way, if I have to cross the street and be afraid that maybe because of the crime statistics that are very real, by the way, is that my fault or is that their fault for having bad behavior?
That's mind-boggling to me for multiple reasons. I mean, we're talking about bad behavior. You know, we've never lynched you, we've never enslaved you, we've never done any of the deep-seated structural forms of injustice to white people that white people have done to black people, and yet to claim some kind of moral superiority in the midst of, and again, in the context of a conversation where a white woman is calling a 5-year-old autistic child the N-word, and we're talking about black people's bad behavior. This is absurd. And the idea of fighting fire with fire, again, is a dishonest argument. Just to take us back to the point here, the people who are supporting Carmelo Anthony's campaign believe that he was wrongfully charged, and they're trying to get him legal defense. The people who are defending this woman are saying, yes, we know you called the 5-year-old autistic black child the N-word, and we want more of it. We approve of it. We support it. These are not the same thing. And it's bonkers to me that we couldn't all stand and say, hey, it is wrong to call a 5-year-old autistic black child the N-word.
The racial slur was in front of Mark Lamont Hill and another guy who's a black man. The other guy who's a black man had a gun, and he would press the trigger and it'll put out a flag and say nigger on it.
During the interview? I didn't see that part. Okay.
Yeah, because they would blur out on certain platforms. They wouldn't let it be
I only
seen.
saw a clip, but I'm
right. And so I wanted to ask you, what is your reaction to that clip of that situation?
That is the exact type of situation that I don't want to be a part of. I don't mind the racism, but let it be someone of an established intellectual background.
Right.
But for you to just grab idiots and buffoons off social media because they have an opinion and ask me to converse with them, I feel like you're belittling my work.
Yes.
And you're belittling my
And that's what it was. The young lady was just a social media girl who says, I like to say nigger. And
no expertise in anything, no community activism, no type of corporation that she's established, you know, no type of political resume, just a nobody. My thing is, at least let it be someone who people listen to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And listen to for serious opinion, right, not just shock value.
And that's what they'll do. They'll try to mix our with they bullshit and trade.
Yes, I'm not doing that. And when he reached out to me, Brother Loon, if memory serves me correctly, it was a week or two before that interview. So I believe he wanted me as a part of that, because in the email that I got from his assistant, it specifically said that they wanted to discuss the fundraising behind our brother down in Texas, right? The young brother who defended his life, okay, and is now facing charges, and hopefully he will be victorious. We're going to pray.
Carmelo, right?
Carmelo Anthony. They wanted to discuss the fundraising between Carmelo Anthony and the Shiloh Hendricks, I believe is her name.
Yes.
And I'm looking at this request, and I'm saying, of all the things we can discuss, we want to talk about GoFundMe? I already knew it was nonsense.
Right.
This is all you want to discuss with Dr. Umar.
Yeah.
This fundraiser and this fundraiser. Right. I said, this is nonsense. I believe he wanted me on that platform.
Did you see Mark Lamont Hill's response to it where
I thought he did a good job.
Okay.
I thought he did a good job.
He's receiving some backlash because this is what I say, this difference between
what did he say and then next, because I didn't see the whole thing.
This is what he said. So he says, Piers Morgan invites the young lady to say the N-word. Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it.
Did she say it?
No, Mark Lamont jumps in.
Okay.
I do not want you to tell her to say the N-word in front of me because I'm the only one up here that's going to be offended. Da-da-da-da. He was on the right track. Then he uttered, Piers, I know you don't mean any harm. And then that's when a lot of people were taken back, because why would you give him any out in that moment? He clearly is inviting this discourse. Why is he, as the white man who's facilitating the conversation, and also, even if he was there quiet, I would say he holds some responsibility.
Because he engineered the conversation.
Exactly. But the fact that he was the one to say, Go ahead, say it, and then
Okay,
for you to
told
let
her
him
to
off
say
the
it.
hook. Yeah, for you to let him off the hook. Now, Mark Lamont Hill responds to this and says, I only done that because I didn't want them to cut out the part where I where I told him do not allow her to say that. So it's like a strategic bag down. I don't respect those. Right?
Okay.
Like in that setting. Now, if we're talking war and, you know, other settings, great. But he received some backlash for basically letting Piers Morgan off the hook in that moment. To that, what do you say?
Okay. I don't want to speak on that directly because I didn't see it. I'm going to give Dr. Mark Lamont Hill the benefit of the doubt. Okay.
Do you want to see it? Because we can show you the clip.
I don't mind. I can take a look at it.
Let's take a look at it.
You know, it could have just been human error. I'm hoping. You know, if that's the only thing that took place, it could have just been human error. I'm hoping it wasn't as egregious as what I saw the other day when President Donald Trump had a meet and greet interview with the president of South Africa. I don't know if you caught that.
South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on around a quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture.
But, Mr. President, I must say that
Trump.
we have, we have thousands of stories talking about it.
Sure.
And we have documentaries, we have news stories, and that. Is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and it has to be responded to. Go ahead, talk about that.
Please, may we have a South African
His name is Peter something. He's a terrible
If they're
reporter.
committing genocide, why invite them to the White House? I'll be quiet.
Quiet.
Sure, that's my question now.
Let's go.
Thank you so much, President Trump. Anna Pelaston from ENCA in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you very
hosting
much,
us.
dear.
What would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation?
I don't
just
know.
seen on the screen?
I don't know. Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death. Horrible death. Death. I don't know.
But you know that
To
there
pick
are young
anyone,
people who are
white
dying
South
of-
Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. And this is all, I mean, I'll give these to you.
No, I'd like
So
to-
when you say, what would I like to do? I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couples say that they were attacked violently.
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it is?
Well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried.
President Trump.
And he asks about a jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter.
If they're committing genocide, why invite them? So if they are committing genocide, why invite the South Africans to the White House?
May I finish, please, President Trump? Mr. President
This
Trump,
is one after another. This family was wiped out. I'm just looking.
Can we get a report from President Ramaphosa? Can you give us your reaction to those videos, Mr. President?
President
Yes, I
Trump,
want
would
to
you-
react.
Well, I think
would you
I think the
address black
videos
people
are
dying
so.
more than white
No.
people?
When you look at the videos, I mean, how does it get worse? And these are people that are officials, and they're saying that kill the white farmer and take their land. That's what it is. And I have other friends in South Africa. I have people that left. One in particular that says you can't go there. He said they want to take your land. They take your land and they kill you. It's okay, and they say it's okay to do. Now we're going to talk about it.
We're going to.
But this is a tremendous look. This is a story recent.
Yeah.
These are all people that recently got killed.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it can get any worse. These are, and you know, the men that you saw, the people that you saw in that movie, those are officials. Those are people that were in office. They had one march. They had a dance in your parliament, whatever you may call it, legislature.
But let me
and it was
clarify that.
terrible. Yeah.
Let me clarify that, because what you saw, the speeches that were being made, one, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies. And in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy. Our government policy is completely against what he was saying, even in the parliament. And they're a small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can take land.
And then when they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
nothing happens to them.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately, through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now
The farmers are black. The farmers are not black. I don't say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed.
But I was very disappointed in the way that President Ramaphosa of South Africa conducted himself with President Trump. I really feel that he allowed President Trump to drive the conversation.
I did see him meet. I didn't get the chance to watch.
You got to watch it. I felt like he completely disrespected the South African people who I love. I'm very close with the South African family. And I felt the president of South Africa did not assert the dignity of his people by defending why so many South Africans are considering appropriating land from these Caucasians, because y'all invaded our country centuries ago, stole that land, enslaved us on our own territory, and now you have the audacity, President Trump, to call me a criminal to take back what was stolen from me by white criminals. And I really felt the president of South Africa let Donald Trump push an untrue narrative in his face, in his face.
I know
and
you
not say nothing back. I really felt he dishonored all of the great South African leaders that have come before him. You understand? No way Shaka Zulu was going to do that. You follow? No way Chris Hani. No way Steve Biko. No way Robert Sobukwe was going to sit in the White House, understanding what the U.S. government has done to Africa, and sit there and let President Trump accuse you of being complicit in genocide when this country has financed genocide against different African populations throughout time. I really felt he did the South African people a disservice by letting Donald Trump treat him like he was a child.
Why? What? That's what I'm talking about. So, and I got respect for Mark Lamont Hill. I think he's a scholar. But what is that? Like, what is that? Like, what?
It's the ship. And what I mean by that, when you're raised in white public school, when you're raised in a church that's filled with white Jesus images, we are conditioned from childhood, Brother Loon, to serve and service Caucasians. And you have to become conscious of your subservience in their presence so you can work to undo it. Because what in effect is happening in that moment with President Ramaphosa, if this happened with Dr. Mark Lamont Hill, their unconscious takes over. You see this? You don't even recognize that you are conceding your masculinity to this Caucasian male. You're not even conscious of it. It is your unconscious conditioning that is kicking in without your knowledge, forcing you to get down on bended knee before these Caucasians.
And you won't do that.
No, sir. In fact, I'm going to go harder with the Caucasian to make sure my chip, if it's still there, doesn't get activated. You feel me? So if they say, Dr. Umar, we might have one or two whites in the room. Cool. But I need you to know something. I don't change my message. So make sure you understand that I'm not changing. Same thing with the universities. Well, you know, there's going to be white students in the audience. This is a predominantly white institution. That's fine. Yes. But I don't change my message. Make sure they understand that.
And that's what it to us is so important, because you see these scholars that the smarter they get, they it's like they lose the veracity that men have.
And I'm gonna tell you a big reason why. There's a few fears associated with the male ego. One fear is money, unfortunately. We'll put cash above the honor that we should have in defending our people, right?
Right.
If I offend, because you're not disrespecting.
Right.
If I offend this Caucasian, it might mess with my pocketbook. I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
In fact, I tell people all the time, one of the best things ever happened to me was growing up in the North Central Philadelphia ghetto, because once you taste poverty, you're not afraid of it.
Exactly.
You feel me?
Exactly.
I'll go back if I need to.
Figure it out again.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's number one, the loss of money. Another one is the loss of access to white space.
Oh, man.
Both in the media and in the social world. I'll give you an example. And I know we're going to talk about this later, but I want to give you an example. Take Shannon Sharpe real quick. Shannon will not be affected financially, I don't think, as a result of this lawsuit. Because in the social media world, there really is no code of ethics.
Right.
It's all about views, right?
You're right.
Financially, I think he still gets his contract. You know where he may lose? You know where Sean Puffy Combs may lose if he wins the case? They will never again get invited to certain privileged white functions.
Yes.
And as a member of the bourgeoisie, having access to white space is sometimes worth more than the money.
Yes.
Do you feel me?
Yes.
Getting invited to this.
Yes.
Getting invited to that. Going on these exclusive retreats with these billionaires. You may never get that invitation again. And so sometimes the scholar, not saying Dr. Hill did this, but I've seen it done, so I know what you mean.
Right.
I'm going to compromise my truth. I'm going to compromise my truth in this moment, because if I get branded as a black man, think about that. If I get branded as a black man by the white man, I might lose opportunities to be around white people.
Yes. And that's kind of your only one up in a lot of spaces. Is that I'll be at the white part.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Because we value everything they do more than what we do.
Exactly.
This is why we'll go to the BET Awards and we'll fight.
Yes.
We never fought at the Grammys.
Whoa.
We never fought at the AMAs.
nosebleed.
Do you feel me?
Yeah.
Will Smith slapped Chris Rock and they banned him for a year.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And I still don't know if he's allowed to go back now. You're not going to do that in white space.
Right.
But you'll do it around us.
Yes. Now, let's take a look at this. I want you to look at it really quick. 1 second.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stats projections, like you'll pick Patrick Mahomes for up to 2 passing touchdowns, or Saquon Barkley for more than 60 yards, and you watch the winnings roll in. I've been using Prize Picks, and it's just so simple. I can make my picks and submit an entry in less than 60 seconds. That's just 1 minute. And the withdrawals, it makes the experience even better. After you win, you definitely don't want to wait. And don't miss out on Taco Tuesdays. That's where selected player projections are discounted up to 25%. Go to prizepicks.com, use my code IUTP to receive a guaranteed $50 when you play just $5. Again, that's prizepicks.com, my code IUTP. If you support the show, sign up for Prize Picks, use my code, and watch the winnings roll in. This is daily fantasy sports made easy. Salute to Prize Picks for supporting the movement, and let's get back to the episode.
Access to white space is sometimes worth more than the money.
Yes.
Do you feel me?
Yes.
Getting invited to this.
Yes.
Getting invited to that. Going on these exclusive retreats with these billionaires. You may never get that invitation again. And so sometimes the scholar, not saying Dr. Hill did this, but I've seen it done, so I know what you mean.
Right.
I'm going to compromise my truth. I'm going to compromise my truth in this moment, because if I get branded as a black man, think about that. If I get branded as a black man by the white man, I might lose opportunities to be around white people.
Yes. And that's kind of your only one up in a lot of spaces. Is that I'll be at the white part.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Because we value everything they do more than what we do.
Exactly.
This is why we'll go to the BET Awards and we'll fight.
Yes.
We never fought at the Grammys.
Whoa.
We never fought at the AMAs.
nosebleed.
Do you feel me?
Yeah.
Will Smith slapped Chris Rock and they banned him for a year. Yeah. You feel me? Yeah. And I still don't know if he's allowed to go back now. You're not going to do that in white space.
Right.
But you'll do it around
Yes. Now, let's take a look at this. I want you to look at it really quick. 1 second.
I want you to invite this woman to say a harmful term in front of me because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people here, and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and asking her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do, but we already know she's racist, and I don't want to invite a harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there. Thank you all very much.
Now, I didn't hear him say what you said, though.
Okay, 1 second. Maybe that's not the...
Okay, it might be another speak, because I appreciate what Dr. Hill said there. He stood his ground.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, no, that's not it. Hold on. He definitely said it. But yeah, man, this is and he addressed it. He actually addressed the fact that it blew up online that like, yo, what would you say? Why would you say?
We're labeled a racist. And by the way, you call people racist when you want them to stop talking about things.
No, I called you a racist because you admitted you were racist.
You can get on his backside.
Hang on. I called, just to be clear, I called you a racist because you openly, proudly admitted you're a racist. So it wasn't a question of exposing you or pointing my finger or trying to get this out of you. You proudly sat there, bold as brass, and said, yeah, I use the N-word all the time against I'm a racist and I'm proud of it. That's what you did.
Racism is just having a preference. I prefer not to live around. I prefer not to live in a country where white people in our country are disproportionately attacked by black. Where in my country, you can have an Austin Metcalf where he asks a guy to leave and he gets hurt. I prefer that. That's a preference. Now, what a real racist is, in my opinion, is seeing someone as less human. I'm a Christian. I believe everyone's created in God's image. So I don't see anyone as less human. But that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to have a preference and say, I don't like what happened to be coming out of this community or that community. How is that a bad thing? How is that not just a preference?
Because you've literally made sound lesser humans. You don't want to live around them. You want to use the M relation to them, or that you know causes that community unbelievable.
Is that my fault? Is that my fault? If they have bad behavior, if they want to act in a certain way, if I have to cross the street and be afraid that maybe because of the crime statistics that are very real, by the way, is that my fault or is that their fault for having bad behavior?
It's mind-boggling.
I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly, and you will
well, go
not
on then,
have
say it. Say
you
the
will
M.
not have
Go on,
free speech.
go on. Say the M. Go on.
No.
Don't
invite. No. I don't want you to invite this woman to say a really harmful term in front of me because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white here.
He's a scholar, so he knows not to just be loud about it. He slips it in.
While I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do. But we already know she's racist. And I don't want to invite a harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there. Thank you all very much.
We approve of it. We support it. These are not the same thing. And it's bonkers to me that we couldn't all stand and say, hey, it is wrong to call a 5-year-old autistic child.
You still didn't say it on that?
Nah.
Okay, damn. So it must have been in the other one. You may just missed it. So what's happening is it's not a standalone statement, and that's why people felt like it was a slip in just to appease the man.
Okay, yeah. No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so it was when he would say, "Don't you just say the N-word." I know you don't mean no. It was that. Right. It wasn't just standalone.
In other words, you should have checked him for even inviting her to say it, but he did say, don't have her say that.
Right.
But what you're saying is he also said, I know you don't mean no harm.
Yes.
So I'm not holding you accountable for the fact that you actually invited her to say it.
And that line actually blew up and he responded to it. And he said, again, it was a strategic move on his part, but I don't compromise my integrity.
You can't
for a strategic move for the white folks. You know what I'm saying?
I hope.
And so he responded to it. So, but we'll move on from that.
Okay.
Let me ask you this, because I know that Joe Budden Podcast is somewhere where you go, you do a lot of views at. I'm of the belief, and a lot of my fans are of the belief, that we were very instrumental in them actually pulling the trigger on Umar. Of course, they knew Umar for a long time. After our Deion Sanders debate, I think there was they said, oh no, we need Umar. And of course, when you went up there, one of the first conversations was, hey, we saw you debate about about Deion.
Okay.
And, so I take pride in being influential in that way, in the market, just opening what think is available to do with Umar, right? It ain't just because for me, I feel as though our dynamic kind of changes the way that people deal with you, right? Okay. In regards to Umar as an intellectual, he invites this. He invites, make me clarify, make me stand on it, because I'm gonna tell you why it makes sense.
Yes, sir.
And I believe in those moments you shine so bright that even in your 25th hour, it still brings in more new people. When you
absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
Are you prepared to go and do the 20v1 on Joe Budden's podcast at this point?
I didn't know he was interested in the 20v1.
That's what if you go to Joe Budden's podcast, they have Mark Lamont Hill there to combat you on your way there.
Right, but I thought 20v1 was when you pop.
I mean 20v1, just 20 versus Umar. Yeah,
you know. I thought you was talking about I'm like, wait a minute.
So Drake rephrased that when the Kendrick thing was happening, when everyone seemed like they were going at Drake, he was like, "Oh,
he called it 20v1." I got
right. So now I just kind of played on that to say, "Yo, Umar, the next time you go to Joe Budden, it's definitely gonna be a lion's den."
I see what you're saying. I'm always ready. Sometimes because of things I might say or do that I don't agree with, that I take as slights, I might not necessarily agree to have those present sometimes, right? So I have to look at who the team is. And I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? He kind of did something I ain't appreciate.
Right.
Then I might exclude a particular individual. I've done that in the past.
Right.
Because my thing is, when I come to the platform, I'm going to raise it in whoever you have there.
Yes.
And I don't want to help expand the brand of anyone who would ever seek to try to undercut or undermine me in any way, shape, or form.
Do you feel like you're above the undermining, even though you see it, right? It's almost like I scold despite the foul. Do you?
I'm cool with the political undermining. In other words, me and Loon about to have a conversation about something, and I know he fundamentally disagrees with me on this point. I'm good because we keeping it political.
Exactly.
But if somebody said, well, Loon had to say this about you when you wasn't, then I'm like, you just cut me in the back.
Yes.
Can't do it now. You see what I'm saying?
It's
one thing if it's a political disagreement. It's something else when you're actually trying to make me look bad off camera or trying to put some of my business out in the street that shouldn't be there. Then it becomes
now. Do you think that, like, let's just say you do go 6-1 Umar, you probably are gonna be the one standing on. You have your beliefs and you don't fold. This is why we love you. You know what I'm saying? So I think they can kind of anticipate certain things that you're gonna stand on and kind of develop a strategy or a
I can see that.
Right.
That's kind of common though across platforms. But I'll say this though, at the Joe Budden podcast, even though they stood on their squares, I also felt they was very respectful of my positions though. Like even though we went at it, even me and Ish on the Snow Bunny thing, we went at it. But at the end of the day, it felt like all love in there. Like when I left, I didn't feel that there was any animosity with anyone. When I left out, I said, you know what, that was all right. You know what I mean? We went at it, but it was still love in it.
Do you know the value you brought to Joe? Listen. The value you brought to, because see, Joe.
I mean, he was already doing well, though.
Yeah, but this is a different game. See, this is what I'm saying. This is no longer about points, right? It's like they put points up. He's running a game I'm running, which is a subscription model game.
Okay.
If you notice, your interview never came out for a long time on YouTube. Word is, in the industry, behind the scenes, that it was upwards of tens, 20 of thousands of new subscriptions.
Okay.
Which is it's a substantial amount of money, right?
Understood.
And so that value you bring, that dynamic you bring is always so valuable. And I just want you to know that, which I know you know.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the debate style thing they done with you came from what we had just done with Dion, right?
Okay.
It was more so because people don't want to disrespect you, right? They think but I know you want us. So we can have these conversations like you say and disagree on something, move to the next subject, agree on that subject, agree on the next one, disagree on that one. And I know you invite the discourse. But yeah, man, you brought a lot of value to that platform, and I just wanted to know, moving forward, how you felt about going on there.
Oh, I didn't mind. I'm looking forward to the return.
Okay, great.
They all right with me.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. It was a good conversation.
Great. Now, Piers Morgan, is that off the tape?
It depends on what he wants to talk about and who he want to talk about it with. In other words, if that would have been me on that panel, I would have kind of felt like it was a waste of my time. You follow me? Because that other brother who was up there from Fresh and Fit,
yes,
they invited me to their platform. I don't know if they still together anymore.
Yeah, they still together.
Okay,
yes.
But they invited me about a year or two, and I didn't go. And the reason I didn't go is right before I received their invitation, somebody sent me a clip of a black woman, young sister, who was on a panel, and they got into a disagreement or an argument. I don't know. Was it a fist fight?
Yeah, they put their hands on that girl.
Yeah.
Physically removed her.
So when I saw that, I couldn't. It's one thing to say, I don't want to date black women.
Yeah.
Completely disrespectful for a black man to say, but I might still tolerate you.
Right.
But if you go to the point where you are absolutely berating and disrespecting a sister on your platform, even going so far as to allegedly put hands on her, I can't give you my energy.
Right.
Because I know when I interview with you, everybody who follows Dr. Umar wants to see it.
Right.
This week alone, I've gotten at least a dozen texts from supporters who saying, Dr. Umar, I done watched everything on YouTube. When your next interview? Yeah. Probably my biggest constituency base amongst my supporters might be the long haul truck drivers.
Yes, yes.
You feel me?
Yeah.
I hear from the long haul. They say, Doc, you take me from Florida to California, right? So they'll text me and be like, yo, where the next interview at?
Yes.
I done watched these 20 times. I need some new Dr. Umar. So to your point, I do know that my supporters are waiting for the next interview. You know what I mean? So my thing is I got to be conscious of that. I'll give it to you. I probably turned down at least a dozen podcasts.
Yeah.
Because I felt that you have made it crystal clear that you don't respect black people if they're Caucasians, right? Andrew Schulz. He wanted me. Somebody sent me a clip where him and Shannon Sharpe. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to misspeak about the man, but I think it was a conversation he had with him and Shannon Sharpe or somebody where he kind of said something disrespectful about black women. I forget what it was, but I do remember in the moment, I said that was a bit too far. I can't go on that platform.
Right.
If you didn't,
you and Shultz have always had this funny relationship
because I don't know him, right? But because my time on the Breakfast Club, because him and Charlemagne have a podcast together, right?
Yeah, they're
and
free.
so Charlemagne was the first one to say, he wants you on there.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, but he got to pay, right? So then finally, when they came to me and say, okay, we'll pay, I'm like, all right, I might do this. And then I see the clip with him and Shannon, or maybe with somebody on his show. Right. I forget where it was, but he said something disrespectful about black women.
Yeah.
And I said, because what he said, in my opinion, cut too low. If you cut too low, I'm not bringing you my listening audience.
Yes.
I'm not saying you need it.
Yeah.
You're already doing fine.
Yeah.
But you're not going to have the benefit of mine too, and you disrespecting my community.
And both things together is what makes the explosion, right? You need heat and cold to make a tornado.
Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Yeah. So when those mashups are way more powerful than just, we're doing another episode this week. No,
right.
Umar and Andrew Schulz would be a moment.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like that's a moment. And he knows
at first, right, he said they didn't pay their guests. I said, you really think Dr. Umar Ifatunde the number one black scholar in the world, number one Pan-Africanist, it ain't even close. Well, number two Pan-Africanist, because I'm going to give number one to President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, right? So the number two Pan-Africanist, number one in the West, and you think I'm going to come and give you a conversation that we know going to go viral.
Oh, my God.
That you know you're going to get paid on.
A bunch of money.
And you think I'm coming for free. I said,
guess why? But guess why the expectation is that? It's because the other black scholars in those positions that you are in will charge us
and go to the white man for free. Not me. In fact, you got to pay more. You understand?
That's why we love Umar.
Most of the podcasts I've turned down have been white, and they've offered nice amounts, but I can't do it because I've seen you say and do things that to me was too deep of an aspect of disrespect that would allow me to sit down and have that conversation.
So do you think Shultz is racist? I know Shultz.
I believe all white people are racist. So that's not the question. The question is, do I think Shultz is a bigot? Right?
Yes.
Racism is what? Complete control and domination for your group of resources, opportunities, and privileges. ROP. That's it. It has nothing to do with how I feel about Loon. It has nothing to do with how I feel about Dr. Umar. You understand?
Right.
I want white people to have the advantage always when it comes to resources, opportunities, and privileges. It's not personal. It's business.
Yes.
The business of political, economic control and domination.
Yes.
That's all racism is. Bigotry is when you bring in that emotional component. Bigotry is when you made it personal. Bigotry is when you say, I not only want white people to dominate the resources, opportunities, and privileges. The reason I want them to dominate is because I think black people are monkeys. I want them to dominate because I think they are inferior. I want them to dominate because I think God invented them to be our slaves. You see that? That's bigotry. Racism ain't personal. Bigotry is.
Wow.
Is Shultz a bigot? I don't know. I don't want to misspeak on him.
Yeah, because I don't know him well, but I've been in his presence a couple times. You know, me and Charlamagne has business together with iHeart, so I've been on Brilliant Idiots. And I've been in his vicinity. I don't think he's racist, but I don't know what's going on with him.
Bigot.
Your definition of racism,
right?
I understand. So I can't.
Right. You say you don't think he's bigoted.
I don't think he's bigoted. Yeah.
Okay.
So but that's for you to examine, and that's for you to distinguish as it pertains to your feelings that approach to how you gather your information. You know what I'm saying?
And let me say this to you. A big reason why I haven't been on these popular white podcasts is because I understand racism and how it operates. No matter what you learn from me, you're not going to change your ways.
Right.
Because there's no Caucasian on earth that's going to abdicate their white privilege so black people can get a fair opportunity. So for me, it's almost a waste of time to have a conversation about race and racism with white people because you're never going to change.
Yes.
You do not change racism. You destroy it. You see that? So when I sit back and I get these invitations from these white podcasters, I know what y'all want to talk about. Y'all want the Dr. Umar shock moment, and y'all willing to pay me for it.
Yes.
That's all right. But at the end of the day, I value my time. And for me to sit down and have conversations about race and racism with people who are never going to stop being racist is a waste of my damn time.
That's a fact.
I have nothing to prove to Caucasians.
And that's, I'm telling you, man, and a lot of people talk. I feel that coming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that's the difference I would say between you and a Mark Lamont Hill, right? Is because in those moments, I just don't, in my heart, I don't see you excusing that behavior on any level. And
I'm not.
Even Joe Budden.
And I can't say if he did, but I'm not.
Even he works with Joe Budden at this point. Even his boss, Joe Budden, came the next day and kind of got him online. Are we good? Is what? Okay, switch it to 1080 because it probably was that. So switch it to 1080. This is still going, so we'll keep moving. So Joe Budden actually came and kind of had a conversation with him on the next episode, and he told him, he's like, why are you even on Piers Morgan? You're on Joe Budden's podcast now. This is Joe talking to him. Like saying that, hey, our platform is huge. We got a lot of people listening. You're smoking right now. You're viral here, viral there. Why go there? And he was like, why should it? Because in Mark Lamont Hill,
I didn't have a problem with him going, though, because I do recognize the need to sometimes clarify who we are,
and that's what I was
in white space.
Yes, that's what.
I'm not against him doing it.
So it's okay to do it, but just stand on the business.
Stand on the business. And for me, I'm going to pick and choose what white spaces I'm going to go in.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's why with Piers Morgan, when I saw what he wanted to talk about, I said, this is not serious.
Right. Yeah.
And my thing is, if I'm going to go into a white space, I needed to be serious. Right. You feel me? Because I know you ain't going to change who you are.
Right.
White people have never changed, never will. You understand? So I know that, but at least let it be serious. But for me to come on your program just for you to try to make a mockery of my way of life and what I'm living and dying for, it can get real personal real quick.
Yes.
And I don't want to subject myself to it, because at the end of the day, anybody will look me in the face and say, you knew what you were walking into.
Yes.
Why did you walk into it?
Exactly. Are you familiar with the Ryan Clark and RG3 back and forth this happened?
I am. Ryan Clark and RG3. Ryan Clark and RG3. Here's where I am. So as we know, Caitlin Clark's team was playing Angel Reese's team.
Right, and there was a hard foul.
Caitlin Clark made a hard foul. I saw the foul.
Okay.
I definitely thought it was unnecessary because I saw how she kind of pushed her a little bit. I saw it. It was on purpose.
Okay.
I think Caitlin Clark still harbors some animosity towards Angel Reese because Angel Reese still won the national championship.
So even with people saying Caitlin is the better player, you believe she still hates Angel Reese?
Of course, because Angel Reese prevented Caitlin Clark from getting an NCAA Women's National Championship. That matters.
Yes, it matters.
You feel me? That matters. Yes, it matters. And Angel Reese is the reason Caitlin Clark is not an NCAA champion. Angel Reese is an NCAA champion.
Right.
So no matter how many white people worship Caitlin Clark, every time she steps on a court with Angel Reese, you're the reason I don't have a college ring.
Yes.
Because listen, we don't know if she's guaranteed to ever get a WNBA championship. Yes. You feel me?
And as that gap, or what people perceive to be a gap in talent, gets larger and larger from Caitlin and Angel, it can become more offensive and more offensive.
Especially if Angel Reese ends up winning a WNBA championship. You understand?
Yes.
See, you have your popularity vote, and then you have your actual achievements in your profession.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So Dr. Umar may be very popular in the community, but I also have my achievements as a school psychologist. You see, there's a difference there.
Yes.
So somebody can say, you might be more popular than me, but you ain't saved more children from the school to prison pipeline than me.
Yes.
I can say I'm more popular than you, and I save more children from the school to prison pipe. You understand?
Yeah.
So Caitlin Clark can always throw in Angel Reese's face, I'm more popular than you. White people have made me the face of the league, right?
Yes.
And Angel Reese can say, that's fine, but I still got this, and you don't, and I got it on your time.
Ooh.
Do you see that?
Ooh.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
Because you got to understand the narcissism that is at the heart of the collective white personality. They're not supposed to lose to black people ever.
Cooking.
Now, let's go to this. First of all, I think it is such hypocrisy for white people and the Negroes who serve them like RG3 to try to turn Angel Reese into a perpetrator of a crime when she was the victim here. Once again, they have made Caitlin Clark
the victim.
The victim. She committed the foul.
Yes.
They made her the victim. That's how white privilege operates.
Wow.
Let's look how when the police unalive us, right? The young man in Cincinnati whose father unalived the police officer
Rodney
Hinton in response to a police officer unaliving his son, right?
Right.
They still made the police officer in the murder of the child. They still made the police officer the victim although he pulled the trigger. This is how white America operates. Even when black people are victimized, you're somehow responsible for it. They made Angel Reese responsible for the hard foul by Caitlin Clark. Now let's get to RG3 and Ryan Clark. RG3 does a podcast a couple of days ago. And with his white wife in the background, sitting there like a slave master supervising her slave on a plantation. With his wife in the background, RG3 proceeds to insult, denigrate, incriminate, and insult and belittle Angel Reese. He mocked her using stereotypical, exaggerated black ghetto behavioral demonstrations. Talked about how she hates Angel Reese. He said, Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. He said, blatantly, Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. And I know this. Excuse me, RG3. Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark? How do you know this? I'm a psychologist and I can't read nobody's mind. I tell people all the time, I'm not a psychic. I'm a psychologist.
Difference.
I can't read your mind. I can analyze what comes out of it, but I can't read it. RG3 became a psychic in front of his snow bunny, telling the world that I can read Angel Reese's mind. First of all, even if you were a psychic, you done been around snow bunnies too long for you to even understand black women. First of all, he was already married to a snow bunny.
Right. That's what Ryan said. Yeah.
Got a divorce.
Yeah. Second
was
one.
Cheating on the first snow bunny with the current snow bunny. So you went from snow bunny to snow bunny. And then you got the audacity to try to belittle a black woman to make your white wife feel better about herself. You don't ever, no black man should ever insult or criticize, even honestly, a black woman in the presence of a white woman.
Yes.
Because guess what? If Angel Reese was white, he would have never said any of that.
Right.
If Angel Reese was white, RG3 would have never said none of that. So Ryan Clark spoke the truth.
Yes.
Ryan Clark said, listen, you don't have conversations about what black women go through. You've dedicated your life to not one, but two snow bunnies. I'm going to call him RG2. I'll call him RG3 when he get divorced and get a third snow bunny. So he's RG2. Two snow bunnies, RG2, right?
Yeah.
And then you got her in the background showing the world how proud I am to be married to this white woman. See that? First of all, you know my position.
Yeah.
Black men who date and marry white women wish they were white themselves. Let's just keep it a buck. You're talking about a group of people who have historically and systemically devalued, dehumanized, and destroyed African life and culture, and you want to marry one of them. To marry a Caucasian is to play for their team and fight for their army. To marry a Caucasian is to play for their team and fight for their army. And then RG3 like a coward. He comes back at Ryan Clark and he says, you hit below the belt when you brought my family in this. Loon. He didn't bring his family in it.
Right.
He said you married two white women.
Just say your decisions.
Your
were
decision.
informed.
He talked about your decision.
By something. Yeah.
Who don't know you got two snow bunnies? Ryan Clark ain't talking about your wife. He didn't say one bad thing about your wife. He said nothing bad about your beautiful children. He said you chose to marry two white women. But look at the double standard and the hypocrisy. You just disrespected a 23-year-old girl, Angel Reese. You talked about her like a dog.
Right.
Told her she hates this little white girl.
Yeah.
Disrespected her, insulted her, mocked her. This is what you did, RG3. And because he reminded you that you go home to a white woman, he's wrong. Look at this. Ryan Clark is wrong for reminding me I married two white women. But I'm not wrong for disrespecting Angel Reese.
Do you think,
on the internet?
Do you think that him saying you went too far bringing my family in is him signaling to ESPN?
Of course, because he said ESPN. He said this is not a good look for ESPN.
See, he said, y'all see me, master, standing up for white folks now.
He is a house Negro. And don't get me wrong. back when he played for the the Redskins, I believe it was, Mike Shanahan, I believe, unfairly cut RG3's career short when he made him go out there and play while he was injured. I don't know if you remember that.
I think
he was not fully recovered, right? Because he was a damn good quarterback.
Yeah, he was.
Could have been one of the best. Mike Shanahan made RG3 get out there and play before he was fully healed, and that stopped him from fully becoming what he should have been. I think it was wrong. So the brother's career was cut short by racism.
Right.
Because they would have never done that to a white
Why
quarterback.
would he not say, I'm not going out till I'm healed? Like the white man can make you go out knowing that you're not healed.
Depends on the politics of that situation.
You don't think so?
I wouldn't have done
Antonio Brown took his shirt off and said, I'm out of here.
Right. But
at some point,
to your point, it comes back to whether or not you're willing to compromise your black masculinity.
Yeah, that's the thing.
A big conversation that we as black men need to have with each other without our women around is, when are we going to start compromising our black masculinity for money? When are we going to stop compromising our black masculinity to get access to Snow Bunny coochie? When are we going to stop compromising our black masculinity to get jobs? When are we going to stop compromising our black masculinity to access privileged white spaces? You feel me?
Right.
Because black men, unlike any other men in this country, and I understand why, because we're more under attack, we compromise our masculinity too much. Too much. And for RG3 to sit up there and say, this is a bad look for ESPN.
Yeah.
Why are you bringing that man's job into this?
That's crazy.
His podcast, your podcast. Right. Your private podcast, his private podcast, and you're going to bring his job in it. So you saying because he reminded you married 2 white women, he's supposed to lose his job? But it was okay for you to disrespect Angel Reese. Look at the difference.
Yeah.
Don't even mention a white woman.
Right.
Don't even mention a white woman. You should be fired. But it's okay for me to perfectly disrespect this young kid, this young 23-year-old sister who's been disrespected enough. And I'm going to add on top of it to prove to my wife and her family that you can trust me anytime against my own people. Mm-hmm. And then people said, well, Ryan Clark has no business talking because he has a baby by a snow bunny. And this is what I'll say to that. I don't know him personally, and I don't know his background well. But from what I've seen, Ryan Clark is one of the more racially conscious sports commentators we have.
Yes.
Stephen A goes back and forth. Sometimes Stephen A stand hard.
Yes.
And other times he will cool out.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? So I believe that when Ryan Clark made that beautiful child, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was not, politically speaking, who he is now. I believe he had to evolve.
Yes.
And as I've said before, and I don't know if you and I had this conversation, but as I've said before, if a black man commits an offense against the race, such as bunny hopping, but you learn from it, and you self-correct, and you promise to never go back that way, right? I don't have a problem with you coming back into the race. From what I can see, and only Ryan Clark can clarify, but from what I can see, it appears that that child, that beautiful child that he made with that Caucasian woman, was made a long time ago. And since that time, Ryan Clark has grown into a socially conscious and politically loyal black man. And if that is the case, if he is completely healed from the Snow Bunny crisis, he has a right to speak on it, because Ryan Clark's wife ain't white RG3, she black.
Right. Yeah, and then it's true. Hey, check these cameras too, sir. Make sure they're still going. Also, I want to talk about this because there's a growing concern with me that I'm noticing, like, because now I have a community, right, with this podcast and all of this. So sometimes I go in there and I speak with the community. I went in there and there's this constant conversation about interracial dating. And it's, as you know, it gets a lot of traction online. People are interested in why is it divided or why is it so inclusive? There's questions on both sides. But I want to speaking about RG3 and black men loving white women or choosing to marry and have children and procreate with white women. It seems like that a large percentage of these gentlemen that I've bumped into or had conversation with, the minute that they love on a white woman and they get into a nuclear family with her, they abandon all understanding and love that they had for black women, even their mother. Right? It's almost like the way that they speak about black women after they now are dating white, the way that they view them and keep them away. And I heard one guy say something that highly offensive. Keep the dirty mouth black women away from. And I'm like, your mother is black. How did you abandon the love, the nurture that she gave you? What happened in that process? As a psychologist, what is your outlook on black men getting with white women and abandoning all understanding and love that they had for even their black mother?
There could have been trauma from the mother in some of them circumstances. Sometimes the trauma can be so acute that the pain forces you to go into a completely different direction. That's very true. My mother abused me. My mother sexually assaulted me. My mother allowed other people to abuse me, sexually assault me. My mother was emotionally unavailable. Trauma can do that. But even in trauma, Loon, there is still self-hate involved because you know what white people have done to you and continue to do to you. You understand? No snow bunny hopper is ignorant of the fact that white people have been the greatest enemies of African people. Nobody is ignorant to that. So, because remember now, although I don't support you going to the Arab, I don't support you going to the Asian, I don't support you going to the Indian or the non-African Latino, those were still options for the bunny hopper. You chose white on purpose. You see? So in choosing white, you're making it clear I'm self-alienated.
Right.
In choosing white, you're making it clear I'm a self-hater. In choosing white, you're making it clear I don't want my children to look like my mother. You are making it crystal clear I am switching sides, and I'm switching sides publicly.
That's correct.
And for people, and this is where I'm going to respectfully disagree with my brother Stephen A. Smith, because Stephen A. Smith responded to the RG3 Ryan Clark situation. And I thought he gave a pretty reasonable and leveled critique. But where I'm going to disagree with my brother Stephen A. Smith, and I know he had to say this because he got a bag to protect, right? He told Ryan Clark, don't bring up his wife and children. He didn't. He just reminded him that they were white. And Stephen A. Smith said this too, right?
Right.
But Stephen A. Smith kind of stated or alluded to the fact that his wife being white has nothing to do with it. You're wrong. Stephen A. Smith, you're wrong. That man's wife being white has everything to do with this situation because he's disrespecting a black woman while sleeping with a white one. It has everything to do with it. You can't say a snow bunny hopper is publicly disrespecting a 23-year-old black girl, young black sister. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's married two white women. Right. It has everything to do with the fact that he married two white women.
Right.
And Ryan Clark has a right to speak on it because he's a recovered bunny hopper, no longer participating.
Do you think that what was his logic behind why it's irrelevant?
Personally, I just think he was protecting his job.
Okay, yeah.
Because you got to remember something. Without celebrities and entertainers, and I respect Stephen A. because, like I said, sometimes Stephen go hard.
Right.
Sometimes he coons out, but he's better than most.
Right.
He's better than most. Yeah. Some don't even touch it.
Right.
Stephen A. Smith will at least touch it. So I got to give the brother some respect. In the white world, and for you to survive in it, you have to assume a racially
ambiguous
attitude towards all political issues. It's a tightrope.
Right.
You understand? It's a tightrope. And the reason why people are trying to call for Ryan Clark's job, and I do want to support Stephen A. Smith in standing up for Ryan Clark. He said, this man ain't going to lose his job.
And he a powerful voice over there.
Yeah. And Stephen A. Smith said, I'm going to raise holy hell.
Right.
I'm not in charge.
Right.
But I'm going to raise holy hell if anybody tries to fire this man for telling the truth about this man.
Right.
So shout out to Stephen A. Smith for taking his brother's back on that.
Right.
Okay. But because you have to act politically naive, in order to be a successful black entertainer, that includes sports, you have to assume of political naivete in the face of obvious injustice. Think about that, Lou. You sitting on
you
sitting on the panel on TV, and the police just unalive somebody. RG3 just disrespected your little sister Angel Reese with his slave master, handler, overseer, slave driver in the back, cheering him on with the whip. Lou, she had a whip, whipping him, tear it down. But guess what? You have to act like him having a white wife has nothing to do with this. You have to assume this posture of political naivete.
Yeah.
You have to commit historical amnesia every time you go to work, Lone. Think about that. Every time I go to work, I gotta act like I don't know what my people been through. Because if I show the slightest political integrity or cultural loyalty, I can lose my job.
Here we go, y'all. He cooking.
See, this is why LeBron James stood with Israel against Palestine, but did nothing when that brother was shot dozens of times in Akron, Ohio. Jalen Walker got hit with almost 100 bullets by the white police, and all LeBron James said is, I gotta pray. But when Israel invaded Palestine and started unaliving all those people over there, you stood with Israel. Because as a black entertainer, if you want to be successful in white space, you have to commit historical suicide.
Ooh. That boy is cooking today, you got. So back to...
Now, see, here's the thing, though, real quick.
Go ahead.
Now that the white man knows Ryan Clark is not only politically conscious, they're not upset about you being politically conscious. Stephen A. Smith is politically conscious, but Ryan Clark is loyal as well.
Yeah, the loyalty what get it.
It's the loyalty. Ryan Clark's comments made it clear, I'm a black man first.
Yeah, because the loyalty informs your decision making.
Yes. So now the white man is like, damn, he's politically conscious like Stephen A., but he's more loyal to black people.
So he'll move on.
He'll move on it. So now Ryan Clark, he's not going to lose his job. But once again, there will be certain opportunities he may not get now because the power structure knows you stand with the Negroes in the field, not the ones in the house.
Yeah. And so also getting back to the community when I went in there and they was talking about, the dirty mouth or just like you say, some of the historical overreaches that they use as it pertains to black women. It just doesn't feel like trauma driven to me because the particular things that they were pointing out, meaning, because you know me, I like to have a conversation.
Yes,
what are you saying? What is that? Like I'm highly upset and you're about to get kicked out of here. But before I kick you out, what is that? Like, why are you talking about black women in this way? In any instances, like you say, even if honest, that means even if it's the truth, why is this even coming out of your mouth when your black mother took care of?
Because you are proving that you are politically harmless to white folks. See, the white woman for the black man is the political surrender flag loon. When I walk into a space with a white woman, I'm letting every white person know I am not loyal to my community. I'm not loyal to my mother. I'm not loyal to my father. I'm not loyal to my neighbors, the children I went to college with. I am loyal to you. The white woman is the black man's nonverbal mouthpiece. By having her next to you, you are making a political statement to the world that I am loyal to the white power structure.
Yeah, and so I asked, I'm like, yo, what is... Man, I don't like, they talk too much. They argue too much. Listen, black women love me. I love black women. I don't hear no bunch of arguing.
But here's the question I would have to any black man who maligns and denigrates black women to justify dating white. First of all, you were going to date white even if you were treated well, because your abhorrence for black women is not just about how she treated you. Your abhorrence to black women is about the fact you always wanted a white one. You're just using her as the excuse for why you are there.
Right.
We've all been mistreated before by women.
Period.
But I never abandoned them.
Right.
You understand?
Yes.
You wanted white women anyway.
Yes.
You're just using black women as the excuse. And this is how I explain it. Who has mistreated the black man more? The black woman or the white man? There is no black man in America who can say, I've been mistreated more by black women than white men. You a damn lie.
Right.
Who locked you up?
Right.
Who miseducated?
Right.
Who fired you? Who won't give you a job? You understand?
Yes.
Most of the black man's problems in America were caused by the white man, not the black woman. Why you don't have the same smoke for him?
Yeah, and
why you don't have the same smoke for America that you have for the black woman. If it's purely about how you've been treated, you should be way more angry at white men than black women.
That's a whole fact.
It's because you love white people. And having sex with that white woman is the way you try to psychologically prove to yourself that you're equal to her white man.
Right. And the scapegoat is...
Look, Shannon Sharpe and Terrell Owens said, when I went to school, black girls called me ugly.
Well,
Shannon Sharpe and Terrell Owens, when I was young, going through school, black women called me ugly, right? But Shannon Sharpe, you let a 19-year-old snow bunny put a dog leash around your damn neck and walk you around calling you monkeys and apes and the N-word. So you mean to tell me you don't date black women because they called you ugly when you was a child? But you'll let a white woman dog walk your ass butt naked around her bedroom, calling you every monkey and ape and N-word there can be. But it's okay when the white woman disrespects me. It's okay for the white woman to put a dog collar around my neck and call me the N-word. It's okay for the white woman to put a dog collar around my neck and force me to engage in racist sexual play. But if a black girl calls me ugly, I'll never date one again.
Yeah, don't make
But
sense.
a white woman could dog walk me butt naked and call me an ape and a gorilla and an N-word. And it's perfectly fine. You a goddamn hypocrite.
Yeah.
You hate yourself and you hate black women. Stop making excuses.
Right. And sometimes it feels like that they don't hate black. They just feel like they hate what a black woman had to be. A lot of times black women are kicked into survival mode. So sometimes that
we are responsible for how they are. They say, I like the white woman because she's passive. She's docile. She's feminine. She's supportive. She allows me to lead. You know why? Because she don't need you for anything, idiot. The white woman needs nothing from the black man. Let me say it again. The white woman needs nothing from the black man. Let me say it one more time. The white woman needs nothing from the black man. And when she's tired of you, she'll just accuse you of rape or get a divorce and take half your damn bag.
Right.
Shannon Sharpe about to pay this white girl $25,000 per cheek.
And she looked like 2013 Steve Nash.
Look like a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah,
and you're going to pay her $25,000 for an ass cheek she don't even have.
Man, she looked like she needed to be passing the sodom mile.
And then they got the nerve to be calling black women gold diggers. Well, if black women are the gold diggers alone, show me a OnlyFans model. Show me a black OnlyFans model who about to get $25,000 a cheek.
Right.
And them sisters got fat asses.
They worth the 25.
You feel me?
Yeah.
You talk about center buns.
Listen.
They got the center buns.
Man.
And they not getting 25 grand a cheek.
I'm looking at
this white girl ain't got no backside. And you about to give her 25 grand a cheek. Because it wasn't about the body. It wasn't about the looks.
It was the craving.
It was about the color of the flesh. This is about whiteness. I want proximity to whiteness.
So do you think, Shannon?
The closer I am to white people, the better I feel about myself.
So you think Shannon Sharpe, because I sometimes think that it's the activity. I sometimes
you don't find it odd that the brothers who go the most for the white girls tend to be the darker brothers?
Yeah, I definitely find that odd.
And I'm saying this as a dark-skinned brother.
I find that odd.
Look at them. Don't get me wrong. You get light-skinned brothers and mixed race brothers. They got a white mother.
Right.
We understand.
Yeah.
Not acceptable, but we understand. You get light-skinned brothers who only date white.
Right.
But in my experience, my dark-skinned brothers, They go crazy over Snow Bunny vagina.
Yeah.
They go crazy over Snow Bunny vagina.
It activates something.
Look at RG3. You just got a divorce and went and wifed up another bunny. Self-hatred, brother. There's a book, France Fanon. I don't know if you heard of him. He was from Martinique.
Okay.
He's one of our greatest black revolutionaries. They murdered him not too long after they murdered Dr. King. They had to get him out the way because he was serious.
Okay.
He was a psychiatrist. He wrote a book called Black Skin, White Mass. Every Snow Bunny hopper needs to read Black Skin, White Mass. And guess what? He had a Snow Bunny. But he told the truth. He told the truth. He talked about how black men who date white women have an aspect of self-hate. And by dating her, you're trying to baptize yourself into equality with the Caucasian male.
Wow.
And that's why I don't trust black men who date white women.
At all.
Never.
Wow.
You go home to my enemy and you don't think I know you telling her what we just talked about? Because you got to remember, the black man knows he's always at the mercy of her.